In 1966, the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency classified a 284-page document pertaining to the existence of several historical and archaeological anomalies around the world, including that of the pyramids of Egypt and the Baalbek megalithic structure of Lebanon. The file, which was finally declassified in 2013, was released to the public in a heavily redacted format of just 57 pages long. The age of these structures goes back thousands of years, with the Baalbek area estimated 9,000 years old. Why would it be considered a threat to modern times? Could it be related to their construction, and who or what built it, and what could eventually destroy us all? In addition to the construction carried out by the Greeks and Romans, signs of which are still evident from the site, as part of the ancient temple ruins, the mystery comes from the earlier temple platform that appears to be constructed with technology that should not have been available at that time. This older part of the temple was constructed using giant megaliths weighing at least 800 tons each, with the blocks originating from a nearby limestone quarry. Here, the German Archaeological Institute, in partnership with the Lebanese University, recently discovered what they're calling the largest stone block from antiquity, weighing 1,650 tons. How these blocks were cut and moved to the main temple site with the technology available at the time is yet to be scientifically explained. There are many local legends about the origin of the temple. Some say Prophet Adam's son Cain built it to hide from the wrath of God. Some say giants built it at Nimrod's command, and it came to be called the Tower of Babel. And some say Solomon built it with the jinn's assistance as a palace for the Queen of Sheba. However, the most famous fringe explanation for this anomalous site comes from the late Zecharia Sitchin, a polarizing and controversial theorist who popularized the notion that ancient alien deities from Iraq's Sumerian history had a central hand developing early human civilization. His opinions have been jointly associated with that of Graham Hancock, a British writer and journalist known for his pseudoscientific theories involving ancient civilizations. Both him and Sitchin proposed that the Baalbek site is much older than is generally accepted, and perhaps even alien in origin. According to Hancock, the level of engineering needed for the construction of this site simply could not have been accomplished by the Canaanites, Romans, nor the Greeks. Therefore, an earlier, more advanced lost civilization with the necessary technology was probably responsible for Baalbek. Although Hancock is wisely vague on exactly who or what constructed Baalbek, Sitchin specifically states that the answers rest in the Epic of Gilgamesh. According to Sitchin, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, King of Uruk embarked on a quest for immortality that took him to Baalbek so he could board a rocket to planet Nibiru, home of the Anunnaki gods. According to Sitchin, Gilgamesh witnessed rockets being launched from Baalbek and within this poem, and for this reason, he argues that Baalbek was actually an ancient Anunnaki spaceport. This would explain the use of the massive platform stones, and also resolve the question of the source of the technology required to build the site using such massive stone blocks. The center of this theory is the archaeological anomaly known as Trilithon, otherwise known as the Temple of Jupiter. This site measures at 88 by 48 meters, where on one side of its podium there are 3 gigantic stones, hence its namesake. The ancient alien theory posits that this platform, over which the Romans erected their temple, was once a landing pad for spacecrafts that aliens used while visiting our planet. The Trilithon forms a part of the foundation, and to this date, archaeologists have not been able to correctly assign their construction to any known civilization. It was actually the Soviet mathematician Matystem Agrest who first proposed in 1959 that the Trilithon at Baalbek had been created by extraterrestrials as a launch pad for their rockets. Agrest also claimed that the events of the Book of Genesis, particularly the devastation of Sodom and Gomorrah, were the result of alien intervention and nuclear warfare. According to Lebanese tradition, the earliest temples built in Baalbek were constructed after the Great Flood by a race of giants for the biblical king Nimrod. Nimrod is considered by many Christians to be a giant, with even the philosopher Saint Augustine of Hippo writing in the City of God that Nimrod was a post-flood giant, and that he ordered the construction of the Tower of Babel. Apparently, in Arabian folklore, Nimrod attempted to ascend to heaven on a bird, failed, and his broken body fell onto Mount Hermon, coincidentally, the same place where the Watchers fell. In the Book of Enoch, the Watchers were angels dispatched to earth to watch over us humans.
Now we are starting to leave ancient history, and we are starting, or I'm starting, to take you by the hand and lead you not only to the present but also to the future. And to understand where history is taking us, this map is the key to it, and please try to remember it. If you recall the layout of the landing corridor from Mount Ararat this way, and Jerusalem as Mission Control Center, the spaceport, the Giza Pyramids, and the place in Lebanon called Baalbek today. These are the 4 space-related sites that if you keep them in mind, you understand what happened afterwards, what happened in recent times, and what the present conflict is all about. They had to continue. There was difficulty in going straight. They went around, but anyway, finally they got to Jerusalem. And what did they do once they got to Jerusalem? They built the temple to Yahweh on a platform that existed there. And if you have not done it yet, I urge you to go to Jerusalem, because along the Western Wall, this of course doesn't exist anymore. This is now replaced by a Muslim structure. Along this Western Wall, just as along the Western Wall in Baalbek, in the landing place of Gilgamesh. And this is an aerial photograph. This is with the area that's called the Temple Mountain. And this is where the temple stood, and the Holy of Holies and the Ark of the Covenant. Interestingly enough, that I noticed when I was there and when looking at there are trees everywhere, but not here. Nothing grows here. So this is the Western Wall, and an opening was made along the Western Wall after being blocked for thousands of years. And what was discovered there is mind-boggling. Because in the same place, the Western Wall, as in the landing place where Gilgamesh went, there is a trilithon, not of 1,100,000 tons, but only 600 or 700 tons, 3 immense stone blocks lying one next to the other, just as there. And somewhere there, there is a sign that says that this is exactly where a tunnel leads to the Holy of Holies above the platform. And this is another shot of the trilithon in Jerusalem.
two big airplanes, one stone, and the big question is how. How do they carve a stone like this? How do they roll it here? How do they lift it up and place it so accurately? We don't know. Physicists, mathematicians, archaeologists, engineers, historians today don't know how, with the lack of technology they had 2,000 years ago, they were able to move something so big. This is a mystery, an enigma. But there is one story I could share with you about the stone. When Titus destroys the city, he sees this big stone. As a tactician, as a general, he understands perfectly the symbolic value that the stone has for the Jewish people, for their moral and pride and self-esteem. So you have to try to imagine him telling his soldiers, guys, we need to destroy this because we need to break the Jews not only physically, but also mentally, psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, stone after stone, row after row, until they get to this big stone. When they do, they huff, they puff, the stone doesn't budge. They try to break it, they try to destroy it, but luckily for us in the end, instead of them breaking the stone pretty much broke them, and they left us this amazing 2,000-year-old testimony.